where the rubber always meets the road, I think. Actually, I'm not even sure what that means.
Heartland Newsfeed Radio Network, live at heartlandnewsfeed.com.
Hey, good Friday to you, Illinois. Thanks for joining us for this adventure in broadcasting on the 8th of February. And my goodness, that wind last night and today just howling, just all kinds of awful. Let's see, the last we saw it was blowing at 21 miles per hour with a wind chill of negative 12. So be safe today if you have to be out and about, and hopefully it should be better by Sunday especially. But and then more snow possibilities, snow and rain mixes are to come early next week, at least for parts of the state. On the program today, Don Schaefer at Midwest Truckers Association. We'll talk to him in a little bit, fresh off their annual convention. Midwest Truck and Trailer Show was in Peoria last week. We'll talk about minimum wage and other things as well. What kind of, if any, ramifications minimum wage legislation would have. The Illinois State Senate yesterday passed minimum wage legislation. So right now it's 8.25. Next year it would go up $1.75 to 10, and then $1 per year on January 1 until it hit 15 by 2025. So that was passed by the Senate yesterday. Governor Pritzker has asked publicly that the General Assembly pass it before his budget address, which will be the 20th, which is less than 2 weeks from now. So the House has not voted on it yet, but we'll see how that goes. There had been some talk about what about a regional thing, like 15 maybe in the urban areas, but not 15 in other areas, maybe 11 or 12 in some downstate communities. But the legislation that passed, at least, is 15 statewide. In fact, you can go back, Mark Gebhardt and I talked about that earlier in the week, and you can find that article online at farmweeknow.com from Farm Bureau's perspective on minimum wage legislation. But we'll talk to Don in a little bit. John Rebholz at Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association will also be on, and Sabrina Berkowitz on our usual Friday segment. So we'll be back in just a minute. First, this message from Illinois Soybeans.
And now, another episode of Ill Soy Advisor Profitability Radio, brought to you by the Illinois Soybean Checkoff. IllSoyAdvisor.com is your best source for soybean management information. With Tim Skates, who farms with family and extended family in White and Gallatin counties. They use irrigation from groundwater wells to help the crop along. Irrigating soybeans requires some close management for crop development.
We usually try to irrigate around 30 to 40% of our soybean acres each year. It's a little harder to predict the response of the soybeans to the moisture that we give it. You know, they need it at several different growth phases, nearing when they emerge and close to when they flower, and then again when they're filling the pod. It's when, we'd like to have it, and we'd rather rely on the rainfall, but we don't always get it, so that's when we try to supplement with the irrigation systems that we have.
Skates says there's plenty to watch when irrigating soybeans. He doesn't want to create an environment for fungus that would later hurt the crop. Irrigating too much can use costly energy, and it could create erosion and nutrient loss.
We do have some soil moisture probes that we use to kind of guide us, find out kind of where the moisture is, if it's just in the upper crust of the soil or if it's down around the root system, so we can kind of gauge about how much water we are getting down to the roots, and that way we can either water more or less, kind of depending on kind of what that guide tells us.
Tim Skates farms in White and Gallatin counties as part of a multiple family operation. Tim's a former ISA board member representing District 16 in southern Illinois. Remember, soybean management pays. Visit illsoyadvisor.com for more recommendations. That's ILSoyadvisor.com. Funded by your Soybean Checkoff.
All right, welcome back to RFD today on a Friday. I'm DeLoss Yonke. Joining us over the phone this month is Don Schaefer at Midwest Truckers Association. Don, how are you, sir?
If I told you what I'm doing and where I'm going, you won't like it. But,
okay.
I'll tell you anyway. So we're taking our we're taking our 44th annual Profit and Cost seminar. We're taking a group of Midwest Truckers members to Maui. How's that sound?
Maui, is that in Missouri?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it's in that fine little island state, Hawaii, and this matter of fact, we go. We do a cycle. Of course, we do a trip every February, and then they do a trip in the fall. But this February trip, every 4 years, we go back to Hawaii, and it's a great time to get away after the cold weather of last week and this week.
Well, hopefully you get above that wind and can get out there easily. So that I can't imagine having those doors open at the Civic Center the way they would have had to have been to move in what needs to be moved in for a truckers convention last week. But I guess you got through it okay.
You know, these guys are a hardy stock. That's the best way to put it. It was cold. We started moving things in last Wednesday afternoon, and Wednesday and Thursday, those are the days, remember, 2023 below, and we moved in about 150 pieces of equipment. We moved in 160 exhibitors, and the doors were open in the Civic Center the whole time. And it was cold, believe me. And I think I didn't warm up until probably about Tuesday of this week. It was something else. But, you know, the amazing part about it was no matter how cold it was, everybody showed up, all the equipment showed up, and all the exhibitors were there. And we had a great crowd. You know, it was cold Friday morning, but it kind of got a little bit better. So, yeah, the crowd was down a little bit Friday because it was cold. But then Saturday, when it was in the 40s and everyone was tired of being cooped up, the place was packed. So we made up for it on Saturday, had a great show, a lot of good sessions, talking on a lot of key trucking issues. And, you know, a lot of the issues that are near and dear to everybody's heart, especially when you start talking ag exemptions, especially on a lot of the federal stuff like hours of service.
Well, I have to ask you about this because I did not realize you guys would be part of the discussion Tuesday night. There was the State of the Union address, and then there was the response to the State of the Union, in which included in the response was that things are so bad, truckers are being forced to buy their own trucks.
Oh, my goodness.
Had you seen that?
No, I did. I did not see that.
That was part of the that was the word, forced to buy their own trucks. And I thought, well, I had several things I thought about that. Is that one, if they're forced to buy a six-figure implement, the economy can't be that bad, right?
Well, you know, that's how it is. I mean, you know, of course they can always lease it, but no. Right now, you know, if you want to talk about the economy and how things are going, and I'll use it from the standpoint of you talk to any truck dealer or anyone who leases equipment out, truck leasing equipment, they'll tell you right now. I mean, it's so far backed up that if you wanted a truck and you went into a dealership today and say, I need a truck, they said, come and see me in November.
Wow.
October. I mean, the backlog is phenomenal, and there's such a high demand, and it all correlates to the economy. And, you know, the economy is good from that standpoint. The Amazon effect, what have you, is pushing, you know, the demand for transportation of goods.
The other thing that I thought was funny about that was that shouldn't that be the goal anyway? You know, you work for someone for a while, but then eventually you do own your own truck, and then you have more autonomy by doing so, right?
Well, you know, in this business especially, you know, this is a kind of a business that usually what you do is you see a lot of successful trucking companies. How do they start? They started with, you know, one guy hauling grain, or one guy who had a truck that, you know, started on the farm, something like that, started hauling rock, sand, and gravel, what have you, on the side to supplement his income. Then all of a sudden he has 2 trucks, and he has 4 trucks, 6 trucks. You know, it's a common success story. You talk to a lot of truckers that's how they started, one truck, and then they just continue to grow.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we'll talk about minimum wage a little bit later, but you also mentioned a couple of, well, and also from last week's convention, did folks from D.C. make it there? Were you able to talk about some issues with FMSCA?
Well, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
CSA, yeah.
Yeah, the Chief Safety Officer, Jack Van Steenberg, who was supposed to be there. Because of the weather, he got slammed and he could not get in. But we had Dan Meyer, who is the state director for FMCSA, who was there and who did a very good session. ELDs 1 year later, what kind of an effect that's had, how the hours of service regulations have been highlighted because of ELDs. And kind of a backwards way is that all the controversy over ELDs has really brought all of this to the forefront. And so FMCSA is very much so ready to deal with, clarifying the hours of service regulations, how much you have to drive and how much you have to rest.
Right. Well, hang on. We have a break coming up here, and when we come back, we'll talk about minimum wage and a couple of other things. Don Schaefer is on the phone because he's waiting to board to not be in Illinois for a couple of days. Which, hey, next time we can do this from the trip if you want to do that. But we'll worry about those details next time. Meanwhile, let me tell you, tour the 49th Annual Ag Mech Farm Expo this weekend, the 9th and the 10th at Western in Macomb. For details, you can visit their Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/WIU Farm Expo. The Ag Mech Expo is this weekend over at Western. More to come with Don Schaefer, Executive Vice President of Midwest Truckers, on RFD today.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Dina Stroish connects rural routes for you. From the Farm Bill to crop insurance to GMO labeling, her expertise is apparent in the stories she reports. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I get to meet interesting people and share their stories, and I get paid to do it. I cover ag policy and really enjoy keeping the farming community updated on these important issues.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
If you're in the mood for some sprucing up, you're in luck. From big to small or farm to front yard, your Illinois Farm Bureau member discount from John Deere is ready and waiting to help. It's easy to think green when it's the Rewards loyalty program with savings on equipment, special parts, and home and workshop products. Whether your tasks involve mowing, planting, or cleaning, you'll be set for whatever your work requires. All you need to do is sign up, have your membership number handy, and go to johndeere.com/Farm Bureau.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise we'll be there when you need us. Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
If you're hearing this, you should be concerned about the Asian longhorn beetle, an invasive species that's destroying our trees. But you can help. Look for the signs and help stop the beetle.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Some signs of the ALB are dime-sized holes on tree trunks, a sawdust-like material called frass, and the beetle itself, with a long black body and white spots.
Look up, look down, look around, look up, look down, look around, in the trees and on the ground, 'cause the ALB must be found.
Learn all the signs and how to report them at AsianLonghornedBeetle.com. That's AsianLonghornedBeetle.com.
Welcome back to RFD today on a Friday. I'm DeLoss Yankee. And Don Schaefer's on the phone, Midwest Truckers Association. We were talking about minimum wage legislation that has passed the Illinois Senate and may soon quickly go to the House. Is that something? Would that have an impact for truck drivers? In any way, would that impact the business?
Dawes, I don't know if it affects truck drivers that much. Truck drivers are just one small component of a trucking company. And it's like any other business that you have entry-level jobs and of all shapes, all sizes. You may have warehouse jobs. You may have office-type jobs where you've got someone who's just getting into the workforce. And, the pay scale's based on, number one, what the company can afford, and number two, what the job entails. And I think, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for any small family-owned business that has entry-level employees. And I think more so what it does is not just deal with the entry-level employees, but it forces the whole pay scale to go up, because the person who's making $15 now is going to say, well, geez, Susie Q, who just started here, is making $15. I need to be making $20 an hour. And so, these are the kind of situations that we can foresee happening, but also the pay scale. It may be different for some jobs based in, if you're in the city of Chicago, it may be one thing, but if you're in deep southern Illinois or in western Illinois, what have you, there is a different pay scale. And I think, I don't think that the new administration or the legislature is being realistic about that. That they have to deal with a regional component, and they just aren't doing with it.
So that's interesting, too, that if you, like right now, if you wanted a certain pay, one thing you could do is get a forklift license, for example. Or, you could have one of those kind of positions that would be a little more than entry level. And so
sure,
that forklift job would then have to go up if everyone else's wages would go up, too, then, right?
Exactly. And, we did hear back from quite a few members. We've got members, they have family-owned trucking companies. And the guy goes, I felt sorry, for a couple, local gals, and I gave them a job. They didn't have a job. They wanted to work, but I found them a job. And, that way they're able to make some money and to do what they can. I'm more than happy to pay them $9 or $10 an hour. But if I got to look down the road where that's going to be going up continuously, I've got to figure out a way to boost my income, my revenue, I should say, to be able to support that pay scale. So, it is going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of businesses in Illinois who right now they are not in that financial situation to be able to do that. So I think this is getting slammed through, the best way to put it. And I don't think that the business community is being heard on it.
The question about, the thought of that in a wage increase, those costs would then get passed along to the consumer. I'm thinking about if you're buying food or something like that. But if in your example there with a small family-owned business, I don't know where those costs would get passed along to.
Well, and that's the problem is that operating trucks, like any other business, it's very competitive, and it's going to happen. It's got to happen. That a truck operator is going to have to go back to their customers and saying, "Hey, our rates are going up." They have to, because they've either raised the minimum wage on us, and we still haven't even started talking about income tax increases. Motor fuel tax increases, which are probably going to come. All these other tax increases that we have heard the administration say they're going to pass in the legislature, that they're going to go ahead and put all that on there, and they're going to put it on the businesses in the state of Illinois.
Have you heard a number by chance regarding the motor fuel tax? Have you heard anything specific?
We've been in a lot of meetings the last week, and pardon the noise in the background, but we've got people talking anywhere from 10 cents a gallon to 25 cents a gallon. Plus, they're talking possible registration fee increases They're talking, additional new taxes on electric vehicles. So it's not just one thing. There's a lot of things they're talking about. And some of that is going to come about during the spring session of the General Assembly. So we got to be prepared for that. It is going to happen.
All right. Got a minute and a half left, but you may be starting to board. So we'll make sure that's a smooth process for you and the group that you're with. And maybe I don't know if we'll see you back in the studio in March, but hopefully we'll see you pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll be back in. I mean, this is a good group that we got that go on these trips all the time. They do talk a lot of business. I mean, they have fun, but they also have a good time because it's peer-to-peer type of sessions, a lot of shop talk, those types of things. And they just enjoy doing it. It's a tradition we've had for 44 years now, and it's always been a big part of the Midwest Truckers Association. And they always like to do it right after the convention because it's a nice, quiet time of the year for a lot of truck operators.
And then pitchers and catchers report next week. How about that?
Ready to go.
Yeah, that's
ready to go.
That's a sign of spring coming. All right, Don, thanks so much. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Don Schaefer, Midwest Truckers Association. By the way, daylight savings is in about 30 days. So, it's just going to feel, hopefully it'll feel a whole lot better when that rolls around. Don Schaefer's and Midwest Truckers will have more to come here on a Friday, RFD Today.
More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
Farm, family, food. Those three words best describe Illinois Farm Bureau. Farm. For 100 years, Farm Bureau in Illinois has represented and served the men and women who make Illinois one of the top food-producing states. Family. At the heart of rural Illinois are traditional farm families who work together through Illinois Farm Bureau. And food. Farm Bureau families are proud to grow the healthy food they provide their families and yours. Farm, family, food. The heart of Farm Bureau in Illinois.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Hi, this is Sabrina Hardy, RFD Business Manager. I want to thank you for listening to the RFD Radio Network, the #1 ag radio network in Illinois. Did you know RFD Radio Network's programming is being broadcast by Rita Frazier and Delosh Yankee with a combined 50 years of broadcasting experience? Join us daily. If you have any questions, email me at chardy@ilfb.org.
Illinois farmers are using voluntary conservation practices to protect their farms, their communities, and the environment. On February 1st, the USDA National Agricultural Statistics Service, or NASS, mailed surveys to more than 1,000 farmers in Illinois to capture farmer implementation of the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. If you received a survey, take a few minutes to complete it and return it in the prepaid envelope. Tell your conservation story. Visit ilfb.org/NLRS for more information.
RFD Radio Network's Rita Frazier connects rural routes for you. Rita delivers passion and reliable information to listeners on the RFD Radio Network. Her radio career spans close to 3 decades. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up on a small farm. My job today allows me to connect with people from all walks of life and experience opportunity every day. I get to talk about what I love, farming.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
All right, welcome back on a Friday, RFD Today. I'm DeLoss Yankee. And joining us in studio, John Rebholz, Director of Safety and Education with Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association. How are you?
Great. Appreciate you inviting me in on a nice cold day in central Illinois.
Absolutely. Now, so we were just talking Midwest Truckers, and their annual meeting was this time a week ago in Peoria. Yours was a week and a half ago, also in Peoria, in the same place. I'm sure you talked safety while you were there as well.
Yes, we did. It was definitely one of the colder times that we've had in Peoria, but now with the walkway between the Pierre and the Civic Center, that sure makes it nice. So we had a really good turnout this year. I think a lot of the folks figured once they got to Peoria, they were just going to huddle in and stay there. Mm-hmm. So we had a good turnout. We had a lot of good educational sessions for CCAs, and we did talk a little bit of anhydrous ammonia safety as well.
It really is a long walkway from the hotel to, but boy, that was awfully nice to have. That was, in fact, at Monday, I went over there and I slipped on the sidewalk on the other side of the convention center. I went down in a heap. That was a bad day, but fortunately, as it got colder, it did get much wetter. There, at least where we were, there wasn't much ice to deal with, but that was a bad day. So here we are now approaching mid-February, and boy, oh boy, hopefully we have a good March, because we have a lot to do that didn't get done in the last couple of months.
Yeah, talking with some of our members, kind of the word I'm hearing is about 25% of the ammonia went on last fall, which is not good. We just had a lot of wet weather come in. And we're just hoping for a nice dry March that, there's a lot of things to get done prior to planning, and we don't want to throw all of that in at one time. It'd be kind of nice to have a nice early March and get the ammonia down, and then they can worry about the planning.
I've talked before, and I talked to farmers about this, I talked to fertilizer guys about this, just about the concept of putting ammonia down. Been talking to Gene Payne about this, your boss about that, president of IFCA, just for the whole supply chain. It helps to have some in the fall and some in the spring. As farther south you go, fall is not an option.
Correct.
But, let's say there's 11 million corn acres in the state, and surely 3 or 4 of those could be on in the fall. That would certainly alleviate a lot of pressure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the one nice thing about Illinois is we have a pretty good supply chain as far as the amount of terminals, and we actually have a ammonia pipeline going through the state. But you bring that many tanks into the field in such a short period of time, it's going to throttle things down back at the terminal. So.
And are there cases where tanks would go from one place to another during the season? Like some may go from north to south?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen cases where if we have a good fall, some of the ag retailers will shift those tanks down in southern Illinois, but most likely they're going to need them themselves for this spring, so we probably won't see a lot of tanks shifting north and south.
Wow. So that sort of limited inventory.
Absolutely.
In a very tight window. So, quick, you may go fast to try to get some of these things done, and that's where some of the safety concerns come.
Absolutely. It seems like every time that we have a short window, the number of incidents, whether they be in the field of application or on the roadway, occur. And typically when you put 28,000 nurse tanks going up and down Illinois roads, just statistically, we're going to have incidents. So, we just got to slow down when we're pulling these tanks. They're set at 25 miles an hour, and I know they're trying to get it on quickly, but you just got to slow down.
25 miles an hour.
25 miles an hour. Once that SMV decal is on the back of the tank, you're set or you're locked in at 25 miles an hour.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind. So now thinking about this, so I'm going to get it with my pickup.
Correct.
Right? Put the old the linchpin in there, and I'm pulling it away. I think about an FS location, for example, just east of here. So the exit after Leroy is an exit for 136 and 150. So between Leroy and Farmer City. You have 2 U.S. highways we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where the vehicle pulling that thing should only go 25 miles an hour.
25 miles an hour.
Okay. Which could be a pretty busy spot. There could be trucks. There could certainly be cars.
Yeah,
and it's hard enough just to drive 25 miles an hour.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I get it, but it seems like anytime that we elevate over 25 miles an hour, that's when we see the incidents. That's when tanks start to sway back and forth. So we've just got to keep it safe. It's part of the Illinois rules as far as pulling nurse tanks, and not only with the hitch pin and that safety keeper, but you also want to make sure you connect those safety chains as well. So in the event that hitch pin does break, safety chains are going to back you up there. Yeah.
So if you're in the car and you have to wait 10 seconds before you can pass that person, they're doing their part, and so we can wait 10 seconds.
Yeah, they're trying to get the tank safely to and from the field, and you just be a little bit patient. If you're in the car, you'll be able to pass eventually, but just give them some time.
Right. That's just one example of anywhere around the state where it's got to be taken from point A to point B, and there are limited ways you can do that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's just one example of the need for safety when operating around these tanks as well. We have a break coming up. We'll talk about more things as well. We're talking safety, and especially with anhydrous ammonia, with a busy season could soon be taking shape. John Rebholz is in here, Director of Safety and Education at Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association. You can find them online at ifca.com. Stay tuned, more to come here on a Friday RFD Today.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Kay Shipman connects rural routes for you. For 3 decades, Kay has delivered important news. She covers everything from legislative issues to the latest in soil and water conservation. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I love covering so many aspects of agriculture and providing readers with the facts they need to make better decisions. I also get to work with farmers and meet new people along the way.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
I used to say I was an Illinois Farm Bureau member because it gives us farmers a voice in Washington. Then there was a bad regulation proposed in my community. That's when I learned what my county Farm Bureau does for me right here in my own backyard. From giving scholarships to local kids to tackling township or zoning concerns, Farm Bureau starts right here. And now, that's why I say I'm a member.
Call your county Farm Bureau and rediscover your grassroots power.
Let's check the markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLoss Yankee. Still higher. Soybeans are barely higher, a minimal bounce back after yesterday's lower close. March corn's up 2 cents, 378.5. May up 2, 386 and a quarter. Trading range is still pretty narrow. The March range is only 2.5 cents. December's up 1, $4, 1.25 cents. Waiting for 11 o'clock, and USDA's crop production numbers will be released today. March soybeans up a fraction, 913.5. May up 0.5 cent, 927 3/4. November's back to unchanged, 955 3/4. And March wheat's up 6 3/4 at 520. April hogs down 45, 59.15. April cattle up 97, 127.80. DeLoss Yankee, RFD Radio Network. All right, welcome back to RFD Today on a Friday. I'm DeLoss Yankee. We're talking safety, especially around anhydrous, with John Rebholz at Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association. So were you in Springfield for most of the career?
No, actually, I spent my 28 years as a plant and pesticide specialist, and I worked out in a certain area of the state, north central, a little bit of the eastern part, and we actually regulated the ag retail locations on their anhydrous ammonia facility.
Wow.
Along with the feed, seed, and fertilizer as well.
Right.
So,
those regulations and those safety precautions are, I'm sure, science-based. I mean, they're not just doing it to regulate, but it's in everybody's best interest to do those things.
Oh, yes. Most of the, at least on the anhydrous ammonia side, everything's based off a national code. And those codes are incorporated into the Illinois rules, and it just makes those folks a lot safer, and the product that they're delivering ultimately to the farmer a lot safer as well.
And if you're talking about anything that's at all pressurized, surely the businesses have their eye out for safety as well, because, you know, there could be catastrophic results if they don't follow the letters.
Yes, there's I would say about 820 anhydrous ammonia facilities in the state of Illinois, 28,000 nurse tanks, and we've got a great group of ag retailers throughout the state. They're very proactive when it comes to safety. They want to make sure that it goes out safe and it comes back in safe. And it's all about safety in-house, but it's also about continually going through safety classes.
Yeah. And safety on a product which can really take a beating.
Oh, absolutely.
During the course of transport,
yes.
and all of that as well.
Yes, the tanks that go up and down the roadway and in the field of application, that along with the application equipment, it does take a beating, especially with the elevated horsepower and some of the newer tractors. Some of the equipment wasn't quite designed to be drug up and down that quick.
You know, I think the first anhydrous was close to 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Different parts of the state. So has it evolved much?
You know,
it feels to me like the tanks looks like the tanks used to. So has it evolved much at all?
It has. You know, when I first started 28 years ago, the common nurse tank was 1,000 gallon. Today we have the 1450 would be more the common nurse tank that a farmer may utilize behind his applicator. And we're seeing 2,000 gallon and 3,000 gallon. And 3,000.
That's a big tank.
That is a big tank. We've got a few in Illinois. I know there's several out in Iowa. But yes, we have evolved. Now we're not going to go any larger than 3,000 because that's kind of capped at 3,000 as far as an implement of husbandry.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to make any kind of turn,
yes.
you can only have so much space in there.
Oh, absolutely.
So different training courses.
Yes,
different parts of the state?
Yes, absolutely. So we have about 8 training courses coming up within the next couple weeks, starting February 26th in Marion, and then the 28th in Effingham, March 1st, Charleston, the 4th back here in Bloomington at the Agri Center, March 5th at the Civic Center in Mendota, March 6th in Galesburg, March 7th in Quincy, and March 8th in Springfield. And you can just go on to the IFCA website and register for any of those courses. It's typically starts at registration 8:30 till 9, and then it typically wraps up around noon. Now, if you can't, make it to one of those training courses, we also have an online module. Here again, just go to ifca.com, go to training, and then go to farmer training. And it takes you about 30 minutes to go through it. If you have to stop, get a cup of coffee, you can come back and go right back where you left off. Once you're done, it's going to ask you just some basic questions, in a sense, quiz questions. Once you've completed that, you can actually print off a certificate of completion that you went through. So
there's retailer training and there's farmers training.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But any grower or any farmer is more than welcome to go to the retail training as well. It's a little more comprehensive, but the farmer training the online is specifically geared to those farmers.
I was trying to think back when I was a kid. You know, I got sent into town to do a lot of things, or one of the things it's just part of it is bringing implements to and from the fields. I don't think I was ever asked to bring the ammonia tanks. I don't think I was responsible for that at all, and probably for good reason. That may not be the rambunctious teenage kind of job to have.
Right. You definitely need to go through some training when you're pulling these tanks to the field of application, because as I've said, once those speeds get to elevate above 25 miles an hour, that's when incidents occur.
All right. Now, is it mandatory training? Like you said, you could print a certificate. Like, is someone going to ask if I've received my training, if I'm handling anything?
So for the ag retailers, they are required to go through training once every 3 years.
Okay.
For the grower trainings, I think it's just a good management decision on their part to go through the online training. It's not a requirement, but for those folks that have gone through it, we have definitely got some positive feedback. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of individuals that have been putting on ammonia for 30-plus years, and they've gone through some of the online training, and some of the comments back to me is, you know what, I didn't realize that I shouldn't be utilizing my contact lenses. You know, if that ammonia gets, obviously you're going to utilize your chemical splash goggles along with those ammonia gloves, but you want to take the contacts out because that ammonia can freeze that contact lens directly to the eyeball. So,
quickly.
Yes, very quickly. Yes.
Wow. That's a detail that I would not have thought of.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information related to, and it's geared more or less to the transportation and application, and that's typically what the farmers are utilizing the ammonia tanks for.
Excellent. So yes, those are coming up starting toward the end of the month.
Yes, end of February. Yep, okay. We're starting down the 26th down in Marion, Illinois, at the Pavilion.
And just arrive, just to show up, or?
Well, you can go onto the IFCA website to register for those. Just go to ifca.com, training, and then classroom training, or you can just show up. There is a cost involved. You're probably going to save a little bit if you pre-register, so I would definitely advise you to do that.
All right. By the way, also on the website, there are 10 upcoming dicamba training classes.
Correct.
7 in February and 3 in March, and they're all over the place, Mount Vernon and Quincy and Litchfield and Peoria and Ridgeway and several other locations. So, and there's an online component for that as well.
There should be eventually. The online is not up and running yet.
Yeah.
I think we are hearing from the registrants. We will eventually see it, but at this time, it's classroom training only. But every day it seems like we're adding more and more locations throughout the state. So, you know, if you're kind of worried that there's nothing near southern Illinois or central or northern, hold off for a little while. I'm sure if you come back in a week or so, you'll see more classes added.
Right. And even if you got it last year, you got to get it this year.
Yes,
that's an every year
requirement
thing.
of the label.
That's right. Yeah, that's on the label. That's the law. Yeah. John, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
John Rebholz at Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association and online at ifca.com. Stay tuned. We'll conclude things in just a moment on RFD today. Let's check livestock markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLawes Yankee. Greenville this week had a steer top of 122, heifers 121. Some high dressing steers and heifers hit 1 1/4, and some prime lots went as high as 130. Holstein steers had a top of 96. Feeder steers, 6 weights, 110 to 135, 7 weights, 95 to 115, 5 weight heifers, 120 to 135. 6 weights, 95 to 120. Illinois direct hog market was $1 lower, $26 to $35 a hundredweight. Sow market steady to $1 lower, from $20 to $28 for lightweights, $25 to $35 for heavyweights, and light boars with a top of $16. That's actually an increase of $3 a hundredweight. DeLawes Yankee, RFD Radio Network.
How do people benefit from raising livestock here in Illinois? Rich Giebert, Illinois farmer, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau.
Well, growing up on a livestock farm was always interesting, and I enjoy it more today than I did back then. But it did give me the opportunity to have a good work ethic, learn to get up in the morning. And you know, that was difficult during my senior days at high school and college days. I had a tendency not to go to bed at a respectable hour. But no, it was always enjoyable on the farm and getting up before daybreak and milking the cows and getting the chores done and then go about the rest of the day's business.
Illinois Farm Bureau, along with beef, corn, milk, pork, and soybean associations, make up the Livestock Development Group, supporting the Illinois livestock sector. For more information, check out illinoislivestock.org.
Welcome back to RFD today on a Friday. I'm DeLoss Yankee, and Sabrina Berkowitz is here.
Good morning.
Senior Social Media Specialist at Illinois Farm Bureau. How's it going?
It's going great. How about you?
Very well, thank you.
I love this excruciatingly cold weather. Don't you guys?
I don't know if you're trying to sell that or if you actually are.
Yeah.
Are you a winter person? Or?
I'm totally kidding. Say hi, Nick.
It's all mental though, you know. Yeah. Or a lot of it's mental.
I'll just say this: I wore ski goggles into the building today.
Oh my gosh, the wind is horrible.
It's horrible.
It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it hurts my eyes. It was freezing my eyeballs.
Well, if there's one thing that could make it all better, it's at least 6 slices of pizza.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow is National Pizza Day, and you can bet that's going to be trending on social media. And what do we love on pizza? Pork.
Oh, absolutely. There you go.
Pepperoni, sausage, pork in all its many forms, ham, and cheese.
And cheese.
Yeah.
And a lot of cheese.
So
we can promote agriculture.
Yes, if you're a pork or dairy farmer or any farmer that just loves pizza, this is a great time to put a post out and give props to all the pork and dairy farmers.
That's right. You have a preference without naming too many?
You know, I'll eat just about anything on a pizza.
Gotcha. Have you ever had Butch's white garlic pizza? Butch's is in Morton.
No.
You can find it at the stores nearby and other places. Phenomenal.
It sounds
absolutely phenomenal.
I need to try that on a Friday so I don't have dragon breath the rest of the week.
Oh yeah. Yes, it's not too bad. Also, and it's always the third week of February, it's National FFA Week.
Yes, National FFA Week is coming up, and we'll be promoting that, and they're going to have a special Facebook frame for your profile photo, and when they let us know that's ready, we're going to be promoting that as well.
There's always some folks who are able to put their jacket back on. I'm not one of those guys who can put his jacket back on.
We can use Photoshop and put it on you.
That would be... I'd be all for that. Let's make that sort of thing work, because otherwise it's not making its way on. I can think of a Chris Farley scene in particular from Tommy Boy that comes to mind with that sort of thing.
What was he saying?
In a little coat. That's right. Okay, now you have a couple of hashtags, or at least one hashtag that was from things that happened this week.
Yeah, stuff that happened this week, State of the Union. If you didn't see that, or you want to catch up on all the crazy things people said about it, you can type in hashtag SOTU, or State of the Union. That was consuming the world for about 48 hours. And then if you didn't hear, Harold Steele passed away this week. On Saturday or Friday, I think. And that's been in Illinois agriculture a hot topic on social media. People have been offering condolences and sharing memories of Harold, so that was nice to see.
I think he was 96,
yes,
if I remember right.
96.
He was Illinois Farm Bureau president from 70 to 83.
Yeah, 13 years. But if you look at any of those links that have his obituary, he just lived such an extraordinary life. It was just amazing. So.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we have a tip of the week.
A tip of the week. So how do we incorporate social media into, how do we improve what we're doing with social media?
This week's tip of the week is about Facebook Live. So I know lots of you have tried Facebook Live and do it well. And one of my best tips, and this was, I'm copying somebody else's tip they gave to me, is, sometimes we get really anxious and nervous before we go to do Facebook Live. And if we can stop about 15 minutes before we go do that, and you need to restart your phone, restart your phone, wipe your lenses, test your tripod, and even type out what you want to write for the post and text it to yourself, and then even put your phone on airplane mode if you're going to use Wi-Fi. And doing those steps because if somebody calls... in the middle of it, you just kind of ruin your Facebook Live. But taking a little bit of time, you can probably even pull all that off in 10 minutes, just helps your Facebook Live go so much smoother. It reduces the chance of you having problems during the broadcast, and they're just such easy things to do. But I had somebody at a conference tell me that one time, and I'm like, that is genius. So now I always try to get where I'm going 10 or 15 minutes beforehand, make sure I go through these 5 steps and clean my lenses, restart my phone. Those are probably the most important on the list, is clean your lenses, front and back, and restart your phone.
Tripod doesn't seem like it would be too much, but you certainly don't want everything collapsing or fading or something like that while you're in the middle of it.
How many times I've been in here with you guys and my phone flies off tripod or it decides to restart or reboot for some bizarre reason. So there'll always be technical difficulties, but if you can just take a few minutes beforehand and practice some of these steps, it really reduces the chance of having a lot of those problems.
That's really good advice, because there is something about this. You know, you can take 10 pictures and, you take a picture and you redo it, and you take a picture and you redo it, and you think, okay, let's get this perfect filter to show ourselves to the world.
Yeah.
Which,
but on live,
which is a sermon for another day, but we'll get into that. But once you go live, yeah, you're right. Once you go live, I mean, you're on, so you want to get it right.
And I always used to get really nervous before we would go live.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to
touch that button? Yeah.
Sometimes, like, the app would just, my text that I had typed out would completely disappear, and then I panicked because I'm out of time. I'm trying to type, and you risk a spelling error, so I learned, follow that step. I text it to myself. Just in case something happens and the app crashes on me, I can just copy the text out of that text message, and it goes a lot smoother.
Gotcha.
A lot less panicky when you're trying to do that.
Very good stuff. Wipe your lenses and pre-type and airplane mode. All very good.
Well, I heard you had a birthday this week.
You heard right.
Yeah.
Did you have a birthday this week?
I had a birthday last week.
You had it last week.
Yes.
That's right.
And you brought some food for us?
I did. Oh, my gosh. Let me tell you something. The folks at Bloomington Meats, it was a tropical with cheddar summer sausage, and it was unbelievably good. Those guys are Farm Bureau Young Leaders, so they're really good.
I knew it had to be good. I didn't actually get to see it.
Amazing. Yes. So both of us are 33, so congratulations.
Yeah, we're 33. We get a year younger every year.
As far as you know. Sabrina Werkowitz, I'm DeLoss Yankee saying watch your ends. We'll be back again in studio on Monday.
More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Join Illinois Farm Bureau for the 2019 Governmental Affairs Leadership Conference, Taking Charge of Change. This one-day event takes place February 19th at the President Abraham Lincoln Hotel in Springfield. It covers policy information, state and national legislative updates, and concludes with a legislative reception. Hear from keynote speaker Jesse Waters, co-host of The Five and host of the Fox News program Waters World. To register, contact your County Farm Bureau or visit ilfb.org.